Good morning, my friends. How are you? It's another beautiful day here in paradise. What time is it? Oh, it's 10:23 here in Palm Beach County, Florida. Oh my gosh, I'm a little bit nervous. Um, this is something I've wanted to do for a very, very long time, and I had a very powerful dream last night that I need to just do it and get started right now. A little bit about me. My name is Jody Falcon. Some people also know me as Mary Martyr. And in the future, I'll explain that as a pretty interesting story. But my purpose here today is I want to reach out to people who have great difficulty reading, can't read, or just don't like to read. Um, I'm a retired special ed teacher of 32 years. Oh, good morning, Luna. Luna sends you smooches. I adopted her January of this year. And of course, she rescued me. So I have a very, very dear trusted friend, Robert Hollis. He's also my business partner and mentor. And as he tells everyone that he comes in contact with, he also told me I had to read this book. Okay. Oh my, this book has had such a profound effect on my life. Oh my goodness sakes. Today I want to just kind of do an introduction of the book and read the first chapter. It's a short chapter. And every couple of days, probably about this time, I'll come on and I will read a chapter. And the title is The Greatest Miracle in the World by Og Mandino. Do you know who the greatest miracle in the world is? Oh my goodness sakes. This is just absolutely amazing. It was copyrighted back in 1975. It's been translated into tens of different languages. Norman Vincent Peale, Paul Harvey, Gerald Battle have written in the introduction. So here I am with chapter 1 for today. And like I said, in a few days, I'll come back and read chapter 2. The first time I saw him, he was feeding pigeons. By itself, this simple act of charity is not an unusual sight. One can find old people who themselves look as if they could use a good meal, dropping crumbs from birds on the wharfs of San Francisco, the Common in Boston, the sidewalks of Times Square, and points of interest in any city. But this old man was doing it at the peak of a brutal snowstorm that, according to all the news stations on my car radio, had already dumped a record-breaking 26 inches of white misery on Chicago and suburbs. With rear wheels spinning, I had finally inched my car up the slight sidewalk incline to the gate of the South Park lot a block behind my office when I first noticed him. He was standing on the ebb of a monstrous snowdrift, oblivious of the elements, rhythmically removing what appeared to be breadcrumbs from a brown paper bag and dropping them carefully into a cluster of birds that swirled and swooped around the folds of his nearly ankle-length army-style overcoat. I watched him through the metronic sweeps of my hissing windshield wipers as I rested my chin on the steering wheel, trying to generate sufficient willpower to open my car door, step out into the blizzard, and walk to the gate release box. He reminded me of those St. Francis garden statues that one sees in plant and shrubbery stores. Snow almost completely covered his shoulder-length hair and sprinkled itself through his beard. Flakes had even attracted themselves to his heavy eyebrows, further ascending his dark, high cheek-boned features. Around his neck hung a leather cord, and attached to it was a wood cross which swayed from side to side as he dispensed tiny bits of the staff of life. Tied to his left wrist was a piece of cloth line which led down to where it was wrapped around the neck of an old, multicolored basset hound whose ears dragged deeply into the accumulation of whiteness that had been falling since yesterday afternoon. As I watched the old man, his face broke into a smile, and he began talking to the birds. I shook my head in silent sympathy, and reached for the door handle. The 26-mile trip from home to office had consumed more than 3 hours, half a tank of gas, and nearly all of my patience. My faithful 240Z, its transmission whining a constant and monstrous complaint in low gear, had run a broken field course past countless stalled trucks and cars along Willow Road, down Eden's Expressway, along Toohey Avenue, across Ridge, east on Devon, and past the Broadway intersection to the parking lot on Winthrop Street. It had been insanity on my part to even make the attempt to get to work that morning. But for the previous 3 weeks, I had been touring the United States promoting my book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. And after I had told 49 radio and television audiences, plus more than 24 newspaper reporters, that perseverance was one of the most important secrets of success, I didn't dare let myself be defeated, even by that angry witch, Mother Nature. Furthermore, there was, what? Luna, it's okay. It's okay. Good girl. Furthermore, there was a board of directors meeting scheduled for the coming Friday. As Success Unlimited magazine's president, I needed this Monday and every other day this week to review our past year's performance and next year's projections with each department head. Come here, Luna. It's okay. Come here, Mama. Luna, come here. She's such a good girl. Oh, where was I? The parking lot, situated as it was in the midst of a decaying neighborhood, changed its character twice each 24 hours. During the evening and nighttime hours, it was occupied by vehicles that would have been sold for junk by any self-respecting used car dealer. These were the cars owned by local apartment dwellers who had been unable to find a parking spot on the narrow street that bisected their spot-streaked buildings. Then each morning they all departed in a mass exodus to local and suburban factories, and the lot replenished itself with a collection of Mercedes, Cadillacs, Corvettes, and BMWs, as attorneys, doctors, and the Loyola University students came into the city from the suburban world to do their thing. At any other time of the year, the lot was a scaby blemish, a back-of-the-hand slap to every resident of the area. In all the years I had parked there, I had yet to see its downtown owners make any attempt to remove the litter, soggy newspapers, tin cans, and empty wine bottles that accumulated in their own little mountains of disease against the rusty chain link fencing. The only thing the lot had going for it was that there was no other available public parking for 10 blocks. Today, however, with all the lot's sins buried under nearly 3 feet of snow, it reminded me of a stretch of California's Grove Beach, even to its white mounds, which only yesterday had been automobiles. Apparently, there had been no exits by the locals this morning. They had probably taken One look at their buried machines, now igloos, and either busted or gone back to bed. Entrance to the parking lot was through two posts, buried in concrete, set approximately 9 feet apart, upon which rested a large hollow iron barred gate. To raise the gate, to get into the lot and park, you deposited 2 quarters in the lot of a chipped white metal box, waited for the gate to rise after it was tripped electronically by the coins, and then drove through. Then the car wheels depressed some sort of mechanism in the asphalt, automatically lowering the gate behind you. To leave the lot, you needed 2 more quarters to bail yourself out, unless you had a special key, which you could rent for $20 a month. Keys were inserted into a special yellow box to activate the gate, both entering and leaving. After turning my attention from the bird feeding Samaritan, I found my gate key in the glove compartment, pushed against the accumulated snow, which was considerably higher than the bottom of my car door, and stepped gingerly outside. Immediately, I became aware of the incompetency of a grown man dumb enough to wear low cut rubbers on a day like this. The old man ceased his feeding operation long enough to glance my way and wave. The dog barked once and then was silent by some unintelligible words from his master. I nodded toward him and forced a wary smile. My good morning sounded strange and muffled in the noise deadening snow. His response, in the deepest voice I ever heard, seemed to reverberate off the surrounding buildings. Once, when Danny Thomas met radio commentator Paul Harvey, Danny had said, "You had better be God, my friend." You had better be God because you sure sound like him. I remember Paul Harvey. Do you? Well, you have to be a certain age. The voice made my friend Paul sound like a timid choir boy. "I bid you greetings on this beautiful day." I had neither the strength nor the desire to dispute his words. I turned my key in the yellow box until I heard the mechanism activate. Then, half sliding, half walking, I returned to my car. Behind me, as I had heard it respond for several thousand mornings, the gate creaked as it raised itself for my entrance. But no sooner was I back in my car, ready to shift into drive and ease my way through the deep snow into the lot, then the gate crashed back down to its original horizontal position with a loud metallic clang. Oh boy. I sighed in frustration, shifted back into park, reopened the car doors, stepped back in the cold snow, slid up to the yellow box, and turned my key again. The gate rose once more, pointed its rusty tip toward the snow-filled heavens, and then fell back. Bong! Immediately, I turned the key again, almost hard enough to snap it off this time. Same thing. A short in the wiring, perhaps, from all the moisture. No matter. There was no way I was going to get my car into that parking lot, and if I left it on the street, it was certain to be towed away. I just stood there, knee-deep in snow, cursing the idiocy of this aborted journey while I rubbed snowflakes out of my eyes. Just as I was beginning to doubt everything I had ever written or said about the value of perseverance, the bird-feeding stranger interrupted my self-pity. "Let me help you." That voice was truly something, and there was a hint of command as well as an offer of aid in the resonant tone. He had moved close to me, and I found myself looking up into an amazing face. Gaunt, heavily lined, set with large eyebrows. He had to be nearly 7 feet tall because I'm no pygmy. I smiled and shrugged my shoulders at this Abraham Lincoln look alike and said, Thanks, but I don't think there's much we can do. The deep furrows around his eyes and mouth arched into the warmest and most gentle smile I had ever seen on a human as he gestured toward the calcitrant gate. It will not be difficult. Turn your key in the box again. When the gate rises, I shall step under it, grasp it with my outstretched hands, and hold it until my car passes through. Then I'll let it fall. That's a heavy gate, I said. His laugh boomed through the lot. I am old, but I am quite strong. And most certainly, it is worth our efforts to relieve you of your problem. Carlyle wrote that every noble work seems at first impossible. Carlyle? Yes, Carlyle Thomas, 19th century English essayist. I didn't believe this. I was standing in a snowdrift with an icy wind lacerating my face. My feet were soaked and freezing, and I was turning into a snowman, while a long-haired 70-year-old hippie was giving me a mini course in English lit. What else could I do? I'm a great believer in considering one's opinions, but I've also learned there are times and situations when you don't have any. I mumbled my thanks and waited while the old man gently tugged his basset toward the fence, where he removed the rope from his wrist and tied it through the links. Then he returned to my side and nodded. Almost hypnotically, I obeyed his silent command and turned my key in the box. Up groaned the gate bar. Then the old man stepped under it and grasped the cold metal bar firmly, just as it began its descent. I'm not too clear about the next several minutes, although I've thought about it often. Perhaps the light and hurried breakfast and long drive had finally taken their toll. I felt dizzy, and my vision seemed to shift out of focus, as if someone had smeared Vaseline on my reading glasses. Everything seemed diffused. A strange tremor shook my body, and I tried to fix on the apparition before me. Through the falling snow, I could see the wooden cross on his chest, and perhaps that's what triggered the illusion. Long hair, beard, hands extended at a 45-degree angle over his head, the gate bar, the crossbar. Oh, the patibulum carried by the condemned man on the way to Golgotha for his crucifixion. His voice, now touched with urgency, broke through my fantasy. Hurry, drive in, drive in. I scrambled back into my car, shifted into low gear, gradually applied pressure to the accelerator. The tires grabbed, and I moved slowly past the stranger, under the bar, and through the gate. I eased the car gently into a low spot among the drifts and cut the ignition. My hands were trembling. My head was throbbing. My legs felt weak. Then I reached behind my seat, pulled out my attaché case, opened the door, and fell head first into the snow. I arose, brushed myself off, and locked the car. I turned toward the gate to thank the old man. My parking lot savior was nowhere in sight. This book has profoundly changed my life and that of tens of thousands of other people. As a retired special ed teacher of 32 years, I want everyone who can't read, doesn't like to read, to know the message in this book. Thank you so much. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Take care of you. You're very special to me. Oh, and Luna sends you smooches.